Friend Rick asked me to grab your water that was left on the table. I'm going to show you two photographs from D6 and 7. Is that right? And so let me ask you first, do you still have the actual vehicle you were driving on the night of August 28, 2013?
No.
Okay. What do you have now?
I have an Audi A8, a 2015 Audi A8, so that was a 2013 Audi A8.
Thank you so much. So you have the same model car, just a newer model?
Correct. It's part of my contract that the organization provides me with a car, and so they provide me with the Audi.
Okay. So I'll actually look at D6 and then I'll look at D7. My question, I know that's not your exact vehicle, but does that appear to be identical to the dashboard in the Audi A8 2013 model that you were driving on August 28, 2013?
Yes, it appears to be identical.
Okay. Judge, I would offer defense exhibits 6 and 7 into evidence.
Any objection, Your Honor?
May I publish them to the jury, Your Honor? Mr. Budenholzer, when you retrieved your car in the Publix parking lot, I'm sorry, let me back up. When you retrieved your car at the Lowe's valet stand out in front of your hotel, ballpark for us what time of day you think you retrieved your vehicle that morning?
My guess would be 7:30 to 8 a.m. sometime in that range.
Okay. Was the sun shining?
Yes.
And if I understood your previous testimony, you drove to Phillips Arena,
Correct.
did some work with something with the players, then drove to meet Mr. Ferry. Is that correct?
Correct.
And again, ballpark, what time do you believe you met Mr. Ferry?
I believe it was 3 p.m., 2:30 to 3 p.m.
Okay. Was the sun shining at that time?
Yes.
And when you left the restaurant, Local 3, and went back to your vehicle, can you ballpark for us approximately what time that was?
10:15, 10:30.
Okay. Was the sun shining at that time?
No.
Could you describe the appearance of the Publix parking lot at that hour?
I mean, it's a well-lit parking lot that, I think serves more than just the Publix, but a well-lit parking lot.
Where did you drive from there to get to your hotel? Do you recall the path that you took?
The path, there's basically out of the parking lot, and there's one intersection, and then you take a left onto, I believe it's I-75, and you head south to Midtown to the Lowe's.
How would you describe the lighting at that intersection?
Well lit.
And how would you describe the interstate area through, I guess, where I-75 was until where you got off the interstate?
Well lit.
Where did you get off the interstate? 10th Street. And is that the street that you were on when you observed the lights behind you?
Yes.
Okay. During the course of you traveling from that from the parking lot to the intersection, down 75 and on to 10th Street, at any time did any other vehicles flash their lights at you?
No.
Let's talk about your dashboard and how it appeared at 10:30 at night. Was your dashboard dark?
No.
All right, tell us about that.
I mean, it's lit up regardless of whether it's day or night. So it was lit up.
Okay. When did you first become aware that there were blue lights behind you? Did you pass by a police officer, or was it the first time in your rearview mirror?
No, the first time I was in my rearview mirror.
And what did you do then?
I believe I was kind of in the middle lane and got over the lane, got off at 10th onto Crescent and pulled over and waited for the officer.
During that drive, did you have any trouble maneuvering?
Objection, Your Honor, leading.
While you were driving, what, if any, concerns did you have about your ability to drive?
None.
At that time, were you feeling any of the effects of alcohol that you described earlier?
No.
You spoke with the police officer, correct?
Yes.
Were you able to provide your driver's license?
Yes.
What state did you have a driver's license from at that time?
Texas.
Was there ever, what state do you have a driver's license from now?
Georgia.
Was there ever a time, Mr. Budenholzer, where you were asked when you got a Georgia license?
Objection, Your Honor, leading.
Judge, this is facts that are in evidence.
Yes, overruled. Go ahead.
Was there ever a time that you were read a statement about taking a blood, breath, or urine test and had to sign off on it when you got your Georgia driver's license?
No.
Did that happen in Texas?
No.
Have you ever been charged with DUI before?
No.
And this was almost 3 years ago. Have you ever been charged with DUI since?
No.
Have you ever been asked to submit to roadside field sobriety tests?
No.
When the trooper asked you to get out of the car, do you felt that you had any trouble walking?
No.
Let's talk about the test that you were asked to perform. He did an eye test with you, correct?
Yes.
Do you remember having to stand, essentially on the video we see you standing sideways, having to follow his finger for about 3 or so minutes?
Yes.
Were you told at that time what the trooper was looking for?
No.
You were asked to perform several balancing tests, a walking test. Do you recall that?
Yes.
Have you ever been asked to perform that type of test before?
No.
Were you given the opportunity to practice that test?
No.
Were you told what the scoring system was for the trooper if he was going to grade you on that test?
No.
On the one-leg stand, do you recall being asked to stand on one leg for 30 seconds?
Yes.
Had you ever been asked to do that before?
No.
Were you given the opportunity to practice that test?
No.
Did you have the opportunity to review the video?
Yes.
Do you acknowledge that there was some evidence of imbalance? at
Objection,
that
Your Honor,
time?
leading.
Sustained.
What is your impression of what you observed insofar as your performance on the balancing test?
Yeah, there were examples of imbalance.
Do you believe that was a function of alcohol intoxication?
No.
Why do you think that there was some imbalance at the time?
Well, I mean, I would probably start with, obviously, you're incredibly nervous once you're pulled over and asked to do a field sobriety test. I think there's been a lot said today about an athlete. I definitely played college basketball and played for a year. But I think that, between a lot of ankle injuries, a lot of foot, or a significant foot injury, I just, standing in one place and being asked to move, there's just lots of different things that I think could put me in a position where, my balance would not be perfect or would look to be imperfect.
You mentioned that you have had foot surgery,
Yes.
yet you did not mention that to the police officer. Why?
Yeah, I mean, I think in that moment, just generally speaking, I would say I'm not someone to call attention to myself, not to call attention to really anything or have, even excuses. So just in general, I don't talk about myself. I don't talk about injuries or...
Well, let me ask it to you this way. Do you recall the officer asking you if you had any back or leg injuries?
Yes.
Did he, and do you recall what your response was?
I don't have any.
Okay. Is that accurate?
I don't have any back or leg injuries.
Did the police officer ask you if you ever had any foot injuries?
No, he did not.
So in order for you to have disclosed that, you would have had to volunteer that on your own. You were never asked. That's my question. Were you ever asked if you had any foot injuries?
I was not.
I know you and I discussed this, and you probably don't want to do it. Would you just mind showing the jury your foot?
Objection, Your Honor, elements.
I'm just going to say that. We don't have to do it. So, I know. But this is an important fact. As I understand it, we're just stipulating.
Your Honor, testifying.
I'm going to say what I said I'd say.
You just make the record. Go ahead.
So I understand it. The state is conceding, and we are stipulating that Mr. Budenholzer has previously had foot surgery. That's not a
I no objection to that, Your Honor.
Let's talk about what happened next. You recall that you were asked to blow into a portable breath test.
Yes.
What was your response when the officer asked you to blow into a portable breath test? Did you immediately say no?
No, I did not.
What did you say?
I asked if I could call, I think either Danny specifically or a supervisor to ask for help.
Why did you do that?
To seek counsel and to seek someone else's opinion as to whether I should or should not blow. And,
Were you familiar with Georgia law at the time?
no.
Were you given the opportunity to contact someone?
No, I was not.
So what did you do in response to not being allowed to contact someone?
I did not take the breathalyzer.
What happened next?
I believe I was handcuffed or arrested, and then I was read from a card.
While you were being cuffed and arrested, do you remember what you said to the police officer?
I believe I asked again if I could reach out to Danny or a supervisor.
Do you recall if you asked if you could blow again, if you could take the test?
I didn't ask to take the test.
Okay. Did you ask if you failed the test?
Yeah, I asked if I had failed I guess what I would consider the field sobriety test.
Okay. At that time, or during this time, I should say, that is the first time that you shared with the
Objection, Your Honor,
police
leading.
It's facts and evidence, Your Honor. It's the video that the state ran. My question is, do you recall sharing for the first time with the police officer that you were the new Atlanta Hawks head coach? Do you recall that at that time was the first time you shared with the police officer that you were the new Atlanta Hawks head coach?
Yes, I think I may have shared that with him actually before he put me in handcuffs, but it was...
I'm sorry, before you were asked to blow into the portable breath test. That was my question. Sorry.
Yeah, I think it was as I finished the field sobriety test, and at that point I don't think I'd been placed in the cuffs. I don't think I'd been arrested. Is my recollection.
Okay. Once you were placed in cuffs and were arrested, you indicated you were put in the backseat of his patrol car, correct?
Yes.
Do you remember a conversation that you had with the police officer, again, about wanting to reach out to let somebody know? Not about the breath test, but to let somebody know that you've been arrested. Do you recall that?
Yes.
Tell us about that.
Well, he was asking me about the various things of value in my car, and so I described to him what was in the car, including my cell phone. And at some point I asked if I could again call Danny, and just to let Danny know where I was being taken, and if he could try and help me with eventually getting out of the Atlanta pretrial jail. And the officer said he thought he could do that.
Okay. Do you recall that you were not able to reach Danny?
Yes, we called Danny. I actually think we called him twice and left a message. I think we got disconnected the first time, and so we left Danny a message.
Were you allowed to try and call anyone else from the back of the car?
Yeah, he allowed me to try and contact my wife, Mary Beth.
Was your wife in Atlanta or San Antonio at the time?
San Antonio.
Were you able to speak with her?
Yes.
And is that the recorded conversation that we were able to hear on the video, the audio portion of the video?
Yes, that was me speaking with my wife, Mary Beth.
Okay. And so let's talk about what happens next. You were transported to the jail, correct?
Yes.
When you arrived at the jail, can you just walk the jury through what your recollection of the events that took place next?
Well, taken out of the car and taken into the Atlanta pretrial jail. I don't remember the doors or how they worked or anything, and taken to a desk and kind of, I guess, booked into jail. This would be the proper term.
Okay. Were you ever placed in front of an intoxilizer breath machine and asked for blood?
No.
Walk us through what took place insofar as your ability to make a telephone call after you were at the jail.
Yeah, after you're booked into the jail, the room probably about this size, and there's various seating areas, and there's, I think, multiple phones, and I was allowed to make a call, and really allowed to make multiple calls from that phone.
Who were you able to speak with?
I was able to reach Danny. After I spoke with Danny, I went up to, there's a desk in the jail, maybe not as high as the judges, but something similar to that. And there was an officer behind the desk, and explained to him, I think I tried to explain to him some of the differences or what I'd been told in Texas, and that now I would like to take a test, any test, if that was possible.
What had you been told in regards to taking a breath test?
Yeah, while I worked in San Antonio, I was instructed, or we were instructed to not take a breathalyzer test if ever there was a DUI situation.
Were you ever instructed not to take a blood test?
No, we were not instructed to not take a blood test.
Okay. When you were at the jail, did you ever receive the opportunity to have a breath test?
No.
Did you ever receive an opportunity to have a blood test?
No.
Do you recall talking to Captain Hinton?
Yes.
You heard Captain Hinton's testimony. Do you agree that you were within a few feet of him when you all spoke?
Yes.
Do you recall when the trooper came back?
Yes.
And just, if you don't know the specific answer, that's okay. Can you ballpark about how much time passed between your initial request to the jailer and the time that the trooper returned to the jail?
I mean, the phone call with Danny we just heard earlier was 11:49. My recollection is that the trooper would have come back around 2 a.m. So, 2 hours and 10 minutes later.
Okay. During that period of time, that approximate 2 hours and 10 minutes, you said that there were multiple calls that you made. You recall that?
Yes.
What were the substance of those calls?
Well, I know at one point Danny and myself and you were on the phone, and basically most of the phone calls revolved around, what is happening, how are we going to get, whether it be a breath test, a blood test, any kind of test, could we get that to happen as soon as possible, really?
And so, as I understand it, you were able to make some additional calls and able to give updates.
Yes.
And what were the substance of those updates?
Basically, that nothing was happening. I think at one point during the evening, there was some thought or some discussion that I may go to Grady Hospital. That didn't happen. Nothing happened. And so I think there was a little bit of frustration or a little bit of uncertainty as to how it was that I was going to be tested.
And so, just to conclude on this chapter, is it accurate you never were able to receive a blood or a breath test despite your request?
Yes, that is accurate.
Now, may we approach?
Yes. Are there further questions?
Yes, sir.
I'll ask you to take just a quick look at Defense Exhibit 8, Defense Exhibit 9. And I know you were new to the area at the time, but do you recall the intersection where you pulled over?
Yes, 10th and Crescent.
Does Defense Exhibit 8 appear to be an aerial view of the street area of 10th Street and Crescent?
Yes.
And does the D9 or Defense 9 appear to be a closer up shot of that same intersection?
Yes.
Your Honor, I've asked that Defense Exhibits 8 and 9 be offered in evidence.
No objection, Your Honor.
To be noted.
We'll talk about your eyes real quick and then we'll conclude. You mentioned to the police officer on the videotape that you have chronically red eyes. I'm sorry, those are my words. What did you tell the police officer about your eyes?
I told the police officer that I've always had red eyes for my entire life. It's kind of been, I guess, just part of who I am. And I've had, my wife has encouraged me to try and do something to correct it, work on it, change it. And it's just, like I said, I think I said, I'm fair-skinned German. And it's just been part of who I am.
Okay. You have been provided with a diagnosis, correct?
Yes.
I'm not going to ask you to say it, but you understand that there is a condition and that there's no cure for it, agreed?
Yes.
In the course of your visits with Dr. Rashid, do you recall being given different types of eye drops that at least would try to alleviate some of the redness and some of the soreness?
Yes.
And do those appear to be the prescriptions that you've been given?
Yes.
How have you been doing with those, with using those?
I've never done any of the stuff you recommend.
Okay. Does it help at all?
I guess I shouldn't say never. I've seen him a long time ago. I probably tried it a few times. It's more difficult than brushing your teeth at night, and it just became something that I didn't put the time, effort, and energy into. And
Is it painful?
I wouldn't describe the prescription in this.
The condition.
I mean, I would say it's. I wouldn't call it painful. I just say it's at times discomforting.
And is it something that you would describe as something that you've learned to live with?
Yes.
When you were being investigated for DUI, why did you volunteer that information to the police officer?
I think he asked me a question about my eyes. He asked Did he ask if there was a reason why my eyes might be red, or?
Okay.
And so I was responding to his question.
Okay. That's all I have this time.
Ross?
Mr. Owner, if I may just ask for a brief break for the Mr. Mayor.
5 minutes, because I know let's just take 5 minutes.
Thank you.
You can still answer.
All right, the jury.
Thank you, Your Honor. I'll just set up the computer.
Yeah, that's it.
Danny. Is what I would consider the field sobriety test.
At that time, or during this time, I should say, that is the first time that you.
Nothing was happening. You know.